Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Buckets. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers on the channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. The Los Angeles Lakers had an amazing trade deadline, and I did not get the videos out on the time that I wanted to just because I've had a very hectic week. But here I am, and I'm going to talk about the obviously main stage trade where the Lakers moved Russell Westbrook as well as the pick, and they received Jarred Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, and D'Angelo Russell. All of that out of trading just one first-round pick. So we're going to talk about that trade, but I also have a lot of interest in this Mo Bamba move. I actually want to talk about that one first because I feel like that one's gone kind of under the radar. I really do think that Mo Bamba could be a strong contributor for the Lakers, especially given the fact that you need really good big man minutes when Anthony Davis is going to be out. They were forced to trade Thomas Bryant because apparently he asked out. I'm really not sure why. That was a weird decision for him given that he was getting so much attention on the Lakers, and now he's going to go from a position where he was pretty much guaranteed to get a big contract this offseason to now he's a backup big man on the Nuggets, and that means that when the playoffs come around, he's going to get like 8 minutes a game. And I'm sure, you know, for the Nuggets, that's a great 8 minutes, but not a great way to spotlight your game. And he was on a trajectory that I think really would have got him paid. So weird decision on Thomas Bryant's part. Maybe there was some stuff behind the scenes that justifies it that I don't know. But I was not particularly thrilled about that because I really like Thomas Bryant on this Lakers team. But if you were going to move him, getting Mo Bamba back as the replacement for practically nothing is definitely a pretty solid return, I would say, and I would be pretty happy with that if I was a Los Angeles Lakers fan, because if I'm not mistaken, the Thomas trade happened first, and when that went down, I was like, what the hell's happening? And then they got Mo Bamba. So ultimately works out, and I think the three-point shooting that he brings, he's not a super high volume guy, but he's capable of hitting the open ones at the bare minimum. He can be a little streaky, but ultimately Mo Bamba can shoot the ball at a decent rate, which is something that is missing a lot for this Lakers team, and he's a really good defensive player, and I think you pair him with Anthony Davis, and the defense could be really good, especially in the rim protection department side of things. So I really like that move for them, and I think he could be huge. Also, just the name recognition from the song. My friends have pointed out that that jersey will probably do well, the Lakers Mo Bamba jersey. So yeah, just a thought there. But let's move on to the trade that everyone freaked out about, because honestly, we kind of have to say, I'm not going to say that they overall saved what the last 2 years have been, but Rob Pelinka at the very least pulled off a trade that is probably one of the most competent of his entire career. Like, for him to land D'Angelo Russell, Jarred Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, and all that they gave up was Russell Westbrook, who I'm sorry was still not good. A first round pick that I believe had some kind of protection on it, which is a W if it did. Getting all that back for one first round pick is pretty good. Now, let's first talk about D'Angelo Russell because that's the most interesting here. I don't think really anyone would have predicted the Russell for Russell swap. D'Lo isn't actually that great. He has been a lot better on the turn of the calendar year. I don't think he's some amazing point guard, but he's pretty good as a starter, I would say. There's definitely worse options. Defensively, he can be a little wishy-washy, although he has definitely had his moments. But he is really inconsistent, was bad for the Timberwolves the first half of this season, and, you know, it's not ideal. That said, I believe at the turn of the calendar year, he has shot 38% from three on 7 attempts, which puts him in the upper echelon of shooters in the entire league, which means that the Lakers just went from the worst shooting point guard in the entire league and statistically the worst shooter in the history of basketball given his volume. They went from that to one of the better shooting guards in the league. So one of the better guards who shoots, not shooting guards. D'Angelo Russell is primarily a point guard. But you have the shooting element there immediately. He can still do the playmaking stuff that Russ does while being a three-point shooting threat. Not as much of a threat on the drive, but, you know, whatever. I do hope that he doesn't get overzealous in his shot creation. I hope that he's capable enough off ball, especially that's kind of necessary with LeBron James there. But ultimately, from a fit perspective, oh my God, what an upgrade. Like, it's an okay to bad player who doesn't fit up to an okay to sometimes good player who definitely fits. D'Angelo Russell, I don't mean to disparage his name. He's been just a very up and down player throughout his career. So it's kind of hard to exactly say where he will be, but I do think that he is ultimately going to be a huge plus for the Lakers by comparison to what they were working. Then you move on to Malik Beasley, because I think I recorded a video that did not end up getting released because it kind of couldn't be released because 3 of the players that were on the video got traded before the video came out. The video was the 5 most underrated trade targets this offseason. Players who I believed were pretty much guaranteed to go for less than they are worth. And 3 of the players on that list were were Dorian Finney-Smith, Malik Beasley, and Jarred Vanderbilt. So the Lakers got two of the guys who I said would be going for less than they'd be worth. And then, of course, Dorian Finney-Smith was included in the Kyrie Irving trade to the Brooklyn Nets. So that video didn't get released. But that does say a lot about how I felt about both Malik Beasley and Jarred Vanderbilt, because I believe that this was an absolute steal. I honestly think quality of the players in this move is pretty universal. I think all of these guys are capable of being starter caliber players. They got three starter caliber, Jesus Christ. They got three starting caliber players in exchange for one not starting quality player and a first round pick that, again, I believe has the protection on it. I apologize if I'm wrong about that, but that's just a home run. Like, if you were going to trade a pick, I cannot in my head come up with a better move than this for the Lakers. I couldn't even begin to think of one that within the realm of possibility exists. Frankly, if you would have told me that this trade, if you gave me this trade proposal, I would say that I don't know that there was enough given back from the Lakers to receive this trade. I would say probably doesn't go through because the Lakers aren't giving up enough. And yet here we are, and that's the exact trade that went down. So it's just an absolute home run. But Malik Beasley, last 2 years, 8.5 three-point attempts per game at around 38%. One of the best movement shooters in the league, one of the best catch-shoot guys in the league, can do it occasionally off of the dribble and create off for himself a little bit, but primarily a three-point shooter. So the Lakers now have two guys in their starting lineup before. I think Lonnie Walker, assuming that D'Lo and Malik Beasley start. Before it was Lonnie Walker, who I believe shoots like 4, 5, maybe 6 threes a game. You went from that and Russ, who takes 2 and shoots horribly, to like 7. What's 7 plus 8? That's 15, right? This is why I'm an NBA YouTuber, because I had to ask that question. This is why I do YouTube for a living instead of something real. So 15 three-point attempts a game. Both of them are going to do it at like 38% clip. You went from what you had before, which was like 7, 8 attempts on not that great efficiency, to 15 on great efficiency. That's the shooting improvement this team just made. Not to mention that I'd say Thomas Bryant is a little bit worse of a shooter than Mo Bamba just because his volume is lower, although I haven't seen what his stats from 3 are this year, so maybe he's just shooting the lights out and I didn't know. But he's been primarily, from my understanding, from what I've seen, killing it in the pick and roll and stuff like that. But yeah, my point being the three-point shooting, huge upgrade here. Malik Beasley, I think, was one of the best bang for your buck three-point shooters in the league. I said that in the video, didn't get released again, but I was like, three-point shooting wise, there's really nobody that you're going to get who's this good at shooting for as low a value as you could get him. And you got him as the third best player, maybe the second best player, depending on how you feel about D'Lo in the deal. But now let me talk about who I think is the best player in this deal, and that is Jarred Vanderbilt, which I feel like a lot of people who don't really know much about Jarred, given the fact that he's been a Timberwolf and a member of the Jazz for the past 2 years. But the thing about Jarred is just a borderline all-NBA level defender. He is just perfect defensively. He is one of those guys who's really good as a help guy, as a freelance guy, a free roaming type of guy. What's the backside defense, help side defense, that type of stuff. The Giannis role, the Jaren Jackson role. He's capable of doing some of that stuff. Also capable of switching on the perimeter. Like, he can handle if there's a guard on him, and he's also strong enough that he can handle most big men. I'm not saying he's stopping Joel Embiid, but he can hold his own against most bigs in the league and hold his own against most guards in the league. Sorry about if you heard that. That text, cut that out. But yeah, Jarred Vanderbilt is a phenomenal defender, and then offensively, good cutter, really good transition athlete, good guy to have in the dunker spot for handoffs and stuff like that. His three-point percentage this year has been up, at least earlier on in the year, but he's not a high-volume guy by any means. He is capable of taking it off the dribble every once in a while and busting out a move that you're surprised that he can make and like getting a nice finish or something like that. But primarily, he's a defensive guy. But honestly, I think the defense that he can bring, if you put a lineup out there, if you include Vando, AD, Mo Bamba, 3-4-5. If you put that lineup out there, it's a deadly-ass lineup, and it's going to lock down defensively. And I think I don't know that there's a better 3 defenders. There are probably some examples that I can't think of right now off the top of my head, but there's not that many better pairs of 3 defenders that you can throw in a lineup together on the same. So yeah, I'm going to do a video discussing what I think this means for the Lakers overall, how these guys are going to fit in the scheme and all of that. I'm very interested in this Lakers team. team now. I love this trade. I love both of the trades that they made. And I'm going to have a lot of things to say about whether or not this team is actually borderline contender level now. Spoiler alert, I think they have a place in that conversation, but that will be for a main channel video. Make sure you stick around for that. Hopefully you are subscribed to my main channel. Although I do wonder if there's anyone who is here that isn't. I'm sure there's somebody. But yeah, anyways, that's it. Goodbye.